Microsoft's generative AI assistant is integrated within a host of the company's workplace apps. Here's what enterprises need to know and what they can do to prepare for M365 Copilot's general release. What is Microsoft 365 Copilot? The M365 Copilot system consists of three elements: Microsoft 365 apps such as Word, Excel, and Teams, where users interact with the AI assistant; Microsoft Graph, which includes files, documents, and data across the Microsoft 365 environment; and the OpenAI models that process user prompts, OpenAI's ChatGPT-3, ChatGPT-4, DALL-E, Codex, and embeddings. These models are all hosted on Microsoft's Azure cloud environment. Copilot is just part of Microsoft's overall generative AI push. There are plans for copilots tailored to Microsoft's Dynamics 365 business apps, Power Platform, the company's security suite, and its Windows operating system. Microsoft subsidiary GitHub also developed a GitHub Copilot with OpenAI a couple of years ago, essentially providing an autocomplete tool for coders. The key component of Copilot, as with other generative AI tools, is the LLM. These language models are best thought of as a machine learning network trained through data input-output sets. The model uses a self-supervised or semi-supervised learning methodology. Basically, data is ingested and the LLM spits out a response based on what the algorithm predicts the next word will be. The information in an LLM can be restricted to proprietary corporate data or, as is the case with ChatGPT, can include whatever data it's fed or scraped directly from the web. To help businesses deploy the generative AI tool across their data, Microsoft created the Semantic Index for Copilot, a sophisticated map of your personal and your company data, and a prerequisite to adopting Copilot within an organization. Using the index should provide more accurate searches of corporate data, Microsoft said. For example, when a user asks for a March sales report, the Semantic Index won't just look for documents that include those specific terms, it will also consider additional context such as which employee usually produces sales reports and which application they likely use. How much does Copilot cost? Is it worth $30 per user, per month? With the November 1st launch, Microsoft 365 Copilot is available for enterprise customers with E3 and E5 subscriptions and a minimum investment of 300 seats, as well as for customers on M365 Business's Standard and Business Premium tiers. Its use costs an additional $30 per user each month, though it's likely large customers will be able to negotiate a discount. It's a significant extra expense given that E3 and E5 licenses already cost $36 and $57 per user each month. Part of this due to the cost of the high computing costs of the Copilot incurred by Microsoft, said Raul Castañón, senior research analyst at 451 Research, a part of S&P Global Market Intelligence. Microsoft is likely looking to avoid the challenges faced with GitHub Copilot, which was made generally available in mid-2022 for $10 per month and, despite surpassing more than 1.5 million users, reportedly remains unprofitable, he said. The pricing strategy also reflects Microsoft's confidence in the impact that Gen AI will have on workforce productivity. Per Forrester's calculations in the Build Your Business Case for Microsoft 365 Copilot report, an employee earning $120,000 annually, roughly $57, might save 4 hours a month on various productivity tasks. Those 4 hours would be worth around $230 a month. In that scenario, it would make sense to invest in the Copilot for an employee earning even half that amount, and that's leaving aside less tangible benefits around employee experience when automating mundane tasks. There are, as the Forrester points out, other costs to consider beyond licensing, employee training, for instance, as employees learn the new technology. Gartner also predicts that enterprise security spending will increase in the region of 10 to 15% in the next couple of years as a result of efforts to secure Gen AI tools, not just M365 Copilot. Businesses are likely to take a cautious approach to deploying the Microsoft tool, at least at first. Microsoft expects revenue related to M365 Copilot to grow gradually over time, Microsoft CFO Amy Hood said during the company's Q1 2024 earnings call. On the same call, Nadella noted that Copilot will be subject to the usual enterprise cycle times in terms of adoption and ramp. Even if the pace of adoption is gradual, there appears to be plenty of interest in deploying it. Forrester expects around a third of M365 customers in the U.S. to invest in the Copilot in the first year. Companies that do so will provide licenses to around 40% of employees during this period, the firm estimated. How do you use Copilot? There are two basic ways users will interact with Copilot. It can be accessed directly within a particular app to create PowerPoint slides, for example, or an email draft, or via a natural language chatbot accessible in Teams, known as Microsoft 365 Chat. Interactions within apps can take a variety of forms, depending on the application. When Copilot is invoked in a Word document, for example, it can suggest improvements to existing text, or even create a first draft. To generate a draft, a user can ask Copilot in natural language to create text based on a particular source of information or from a combination of sources. One example, creating a draft proposal based on meeting notes from OneNote and a product roadmap from another Word doc. Once a draft is created, the user can edit it, adjust the style, or ask the AI tool to redo the whole document. A Copilot sidebar provides space for more interactions with the bot, which also suggests prompts to improve the draft, such as adding images or an FAQ section. During a Teams video call, a participant can request a recap of what's been discussed so far, with Copilot providing a brief overview of conversation points in real time via the Copilot sidebar. It's also possible to ask the AI assistant for feedback on people's views during the call, or what questions remain unresolved. Those unable to attend a particular meeting can send the AI assistant in their place to provide a summary of what they missed and action items they need to follow up on. In PowerPoint, Copilot can automatically turn a Word document into draft slides that can then be adapted via natural language in the Copilot sidebar. Copilot can also generate suggested speaker notes to go with the slides and add more images. The other way to interact with Copilot is via Microsoft 365 Chat, which is accessible as a chatbot with Teams. Here, Microsoft 365 Chat works as a search tool that surfaces information from a range of sources, including documents, calendars, emails, and chats. For instance, an employee could ask for an update on a project and get a summary of relevant team communications and documents already created, with links to sources. Microsoft will extend Copilot's reach into other apps workers use via plugins, essentially third-party app integrations. These will allow the assistant to tap into data held in apps from other software vendors including Atlassian, ServiceNow, and Mural. 50 such plugins are available, with thousands more expected eventually, Microsoft said. How are early customers using Copilot? Prior to launch, many businesses accessed M365 Copilot as part of a paid early access program, EAP. It began with a small number of participants before growing to several hundred customers, including Chevron, Goodyear, and General Motors. One of those involved in the EAP was marketing firm Dentsu, which began deploying 300 licenses to tech staff and then employees across its business lines globally. The most popular use case so far is summarization of information generated in M365 apps, a Teams call being one example. Summarization is definitely the most common use case we see right out of the box, because it's an easy prompt. You don't really have to do any prompt engineering, it's suggested by Copilot, said Kate Slade, Director of Emerging Technology Enablement at Dentsu. Staffers would also access M365 chat functions to prepare for meetings, for instance, with the ability to quickly pull information from different sources. This could mean finding information from a project several years ago without having to hunt through a folder maze, said Slade. The feedback from workers at Dentsu has been overwhelmingly positive, said Slade, with a waiting list now in place for those who want to use the AI tool.